Welcome to the next in the series for solving the UGC paper 1 for June 2014. In this section, we will be talking about the last section of 15 questions that we have to solve. So while solving this question, these questions, the important section here that we would be touching is the reading comprehension section. So in the reading comprehension section, this time the section was very difficult. So there were 5 questions based on this passage. Now, as we start reading this passage, just an introduction about this passage. So, this passage, as you can read here, talks about what is a state, what is an Indian definition for a state, what is important to us as the term state, what is meant by secularism, and what is secularism and in Indian context. Then we talk about the concept of utopia. Utopia means something that is perfect. So how we are relating India towards a land of perfectionism. So this is what is the essence of this passage. As we said in this passage, we will be highlighting major issues. The first is the word state. Okay, so here is the word state. So what is a state? So the first question that was asked in UGC exam was, which of the following is a special feature of Indian state? Now the special feature of Indian state is peaceful coexistence of social groups of various historical provinces which mutually adhere in geographical, economic and political sense without ever assimilating to each other in social terms in the way of thinking or language. So this is the answer to the question, to the first question, what is a state? Now the second question talks about author uses the word state to highlight. So this is obvious from the first passage itself. So it talks about traditional Indian values must both be viewed from the angle of an individual and geographically delimited agglomeration of people which enjoy a common system of leadership. So these are the two things that author talks about when we say when the author uses the word state. So the author is trying to highlight the absence of conflict between the state and the individuals here, or in other terms, he is talking about an interconvergence between the individuals and the geographical delimitation of people or the region. The next question talks about which one is a peculiar feature of modern secularism. The answer is mentioned here. It requires the state to make fair distribution of attention among all religions. So this is the answer, that there should not be any discrimination on religious considerations. The next question talks about the basic construction of Thomas More's utopia was inspired by. Now, as said in the paragraph here, the Thomas More concept of utopia, here you can see, was due to India's framed tolerance to religion, or we can say Indian tradition of religious tolerance, which is here. These blessed aspects of India's famed tolerance gave rise to, at one remove, to the basic constitution of Thomas More's utopia concept. So the answer is Indian tradition of religious tolerance. The next question talks about what is the striking feature of modern India. Now this is a very important question. In this question, a lot of students got confused, and the answer lies in the last paragraph here. There is little about modern India that strike one at once as utopian, but insist upon the inculcation of norms, absence of bigotry, institutionalized exploitation of human and natural resources, which link India with the traditional resources. Now, this thing, some of the students got confused with the language, but the answer here is the most striking feature of modern India is absence of bigotry. Now, let me read this passage from Hindi. So, in the same passage, the translation for Hindi talks that आधुनिक भारत में ऐसा कुछ नहीं है जो उटोपियन या आदर्श प्रतीत होता हो, परंतु मापदंडों की आत्मनिविष्ठा पर बल देना, धर्मांधता और संस्थागत मानव व प्राकृतिक संसाधनों के शोषण की अनुपस्थिति यह दो ऐसे प्रमुख तथ्य हैं जो भारत की वास्तविकता और परंपराओं को यूटोपिया या आदर्श राज्य से जोड़ते हैं. So that clearly says what are the two connecting links that combines the individuality of India and the relations of India to a ideal world. So the two concepts are मापदंडों की अनिविष्टता या inculcation of norms, धर्मांधता व संस्थागत मानव व प्राकृतिक संसाधनों के शोषण की अनुपस्थिति. That says absence of bigotry or institutionalized exploitation of resources are absent. So these are the concepts which are important and which shows the striking features for modern India. So I hope this section with reading comprehension is clear. So in reading comprehension, it's very important wherever and whenever you feel you are confused or you are not clear about the concept, UGC has a very good option because it gives a translation in Hindi. No other exam for reading comprehension gives translation in Hindi so explicit. Okay, so once you read it in another language, you are clear about the meaning of the concept. Now the next question is, the telephone model of communication was first developed in the area of. Now when we talk about telephone model of communication, it was mainly developed for technological theories. So the first model of communication that was developed was given by Shannon and Weaver. So I'll just write it here. The concept was given by Shannon and Weaver, and in this concept what they try to explain is how do we send and receive messages or we transfer information from sender to receiver. So it mainly talks about the functioning of radio and telephone exchange programs, and so this theory was based on the development of technology. Now the next question talks about here is, this question is based on current affairs. Who of the following has been conferred the Dadasaheb Phalke Puraskar for or Dadasaheb Phalke Award for 2013? The answer is Gulzar. So Gulzar is one of the famous poet and film lyricist who has been chosen for Dadasaheb Phalke Award 2013, and this award has been announced by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. Okay. The next question is, photographs are not easy to. Now in this question, it's again important what we are trying to do here is, I can publish a photograph, I can secure a photograph, I can change the photograph, I can change the people in the photograph, but the only thing I cannot do is decode a photograph. Decode a photograph means, since photograph is made of pixels, okay, it's divided into a sheet, a cross-check sheet with different colors and those color combination give rise to a picture or a photograph in between. So when I'm trying to decode it, I cannot understand the meaning because this might be black, this might be pink, and this dot might be green. So if I'm trying to decode, it would make no sense, and rather I would say it would not. It's not able to break the pictures or photographs into smaller parts and decode them. The next question is again based on mass communication and IT telephone media. So the question talks here about the grains that appear on the television set when operated are known as. So if you have seen the primitive TVs or the cathode ray TV, on the screen, if there is a disturbance, there are dot 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 and blurred lines that appear. So these dot 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 are disturbances that appear on the TV set are known as snow. They are also known as dots or snow, and they are caused due to electronic noise or any radiated electromagnetic noise that is picked up by the antenna accidentally. So antenna is not really wanting to pick up that sound, but it suddenly gets picked by the antenna and it is displayed on the screen. So that is what superimposed on the actual picture. So that is known as dots or snow. Now next question talks about the method of communication. In method of communication, we talk about circular communication. In circular communication, encoder becomes a decoder when there is So for example, if I am a person A, I am sending some information to B, B sends that information to C. Okay, so I am an encoder and he's a decoder. So I am an encoder, he is a decoder. Then again he becomes an encoder and he becomes a decoder. Now if he is sending back me if he is sending information back to me, he would become an encoder and I'll become a decoder. So this process forms a kind of loop, or this is known as feedback. So in feedback what happens is the encoder becomes the decoder and decoder becomes the encoder. So it's kind of circular loop or feedback mechanism, or we can say it's a vicious cycle that continuously operates. Now this question was a very difficult question and most of the students got stuck in this question. This question talks about breakdown in the verbal communication is described as. Now when we talk about the stages of verbal communication, there are a few stages. The first stage is importing the energy. So under first stage, what we try to do is we try to import the energy from outside. In the second stage, what we do is throughput. Throughput, what does it means? Throughput means that whatever the verbal communication is there, that proceeds through a coordinated set of activity. So might be I'll interpret it, I'll have a perception about what the communication is. Then there is an output that is manifested. Because of that throughput, there is an output that is manifested or considered that this should be the view that the person is trying to put up. The fourth stage is systems. Under systems, it is a cycle of events that take place. So it involves recurring pattern of activities. The next is entropy. What is meant by entropy? Entropy is basically degeneration of the order that exists within the system. For example, I have a order A to B to C to D, and degeneration means a breakdown in this order. So for example, B is not present or B is absent. So what would happen? The information would be transferred directly to C, and since C does not know how to handle that information, there can be breakdown in the communication, or I could say unclear communication, or the communication I'm trying to make is not exactly what is meant to be. There is some disturbance or breakdown or unclear communication that exists. So that is entropy. Then comes the steady state or homeostasis. Steady state or homeostasis talks about equilibrium in the communication that is established. The next stage in verbal communication is negative feedback. Negative feedback means, for example, there is a TV speech by one of our famous politicians. Okay, so then there would be negative feedback. He is not interested in doing this for the country. He is not interested to halt corruption in the country. So that's a kind of negative feedback, and that negative feedback leads to differentiation. Differentiation is differences in the views or ideas. So since there is a negative feedback, there would be two sets, pros and cons of any option, or positive for and against any option. And finally is the equifinality. That means equifinality is a stage in communication which shows how different ways in which you are doing the communication come under a similar platform. So that is what is equifinality. So at the final stage, all the communications, even if they are made by different sources, verbal, oral, they come under a same platform. So breakdown, now we can answer this question. So breakdown in verbal communication is described as entropy or degeneration, where the things break up or become unclear. Now the remaining four questions are based on mental ability. So the first question here is very simple. A lot of people wasted a lot of time in solving this question, but there is no need to solve this question in detail because everything is given directly. So in this question, first is question is written as domestic. So response would be written as. So in question, you have the word RE, and here you have the word RE. So question leads to domestic, okay, and response would be written as, so ES is written as ME, so ES would be written as ME. Again, this ES is done reverse, so it is EM. So ME is reversed as EM. Okay, then you have ON. So ON is written as IC. So this would be written as IC. Now dash here and dash here. Okay, now it's so easy to solve this question. Even without solving the question, what we can do is the last four words should be ICEM. So ICEM. So this is the correct option. Okay, now in this question, a lot of students wasted time saying that let me draw a curve A, B, C, D, E, F till Z. Okay, and then I can say Q, after Q, this many words I'll leave and reach to D. So Q becomes D. So similarly, after R, I'll leave so many words and it would become the following word. So you don't have to do that way. That would waste a lot of your time. Here is a simple trick to solve this question which would save your time as well. Now the next question. Next question is based on number series. So here is the question. It says, if the series is continued in the same pattern, which of the following, now read the question properly. What student do is read this hurriedly and find the first answer, whichever match, they take the answer. Now the question is, which of the following is not the term of the series? Now I'll try to make this series. It's 4, 5, 8, 13, 14, 17, 22. Now this is 1, difference of 1, difference of 3, difference of 5. Then again 1, 3 and 5. So it would be again 1, 3 and 5. So it would be 23, then 26, and 26 plus 5 is 31. After 31 again 1, 3, 5. So it would be 31 plus 1 is 32. 32 plus 3 is 35. And 35 plus 5 is 40. So these are the three numbers that would be part of the series 31, 32 and 35. So 33 is not the part of the series. So this series is simple. It's a series of addition of 1, 3 and 5. Then again repetition of the same series 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5. So the next question. The next question is based on alphabet series. Now in this question, which of the following would be an answer? So BB, then FE, then II, ML, PP, then what would be the next in the series? So if I try to mention A, B, C, D, E, F, okay. So after B, it comes E, that is I leave 2 and it's E. And that E would be towards the end side and there would be F before it. So it's FE. Similarly, if it's PP, it's P, Q, R, S, T. Okay, so it's P, after P you leave 2, so it's S. So S would be the term towards the end. And after that it would be T. So T would be before that. Similarly, as the case FE. So it's rather than ST, rather than EF, it's FE. Similarly, rather than ST, it becomes TS. So the answer is TS. Next question is based on direction. In direction, people get confused mainly because of the direction sense of left and right. Now, the best way I tell the students to solve this question is consider yourselves to be walking in the same direction as the person is doing. Okay, so the question says a man starts walking towards his house from south. So since I am making this direction north, south, east, west, so he's starting from his south. After walking 6 kilometers, he turned to his left. So here he goes 6 kilometers, turns to his, if I am pointing this words, this side would be my right side, this would be my left side. So he turns left and walks 5 kilometers. Now consider you are facing this side. Since I am facing this side, what would be my right? This would be my right and this would be my left. So then he walks 3 kilometers after turning left. So he turns left and walks 3 kilometers. That is half of this 6. Now since he is facing downwards, okay, he turns to his left and continues to walk for 9 kilometers. Now since he is facing down, this would be right and this would be left. So from here, he goes 5 plus 4. 4 kilometer here and 5 kilometer here. That equals to 9 kilometer. Now he is saying how far he is from his house. Now I can easily calculate, since this is 3 kilometers. Just a second. This section would again be 3 kilometers. Okay. This whole is 9 kilometers. Of this is 5 kilometers. So I can say that the remaining section, this is 4 kilometers. Now I know this is 4 kilometers and this is 3 kilometers. Since total is 6, above one is 3 and below one is 3, and this is 4. So I can calculate the hypotenuse. So it's 4 square plus 3 square under root, that is under root of 16 plus 9, under root of 25, that is 5. Now this is, we can say he is 5 kilometers away from his house. And how did we calculate this? We calculated this using the right angle theory, or the right angle hypotenuse. We found out the hypotenuse. And what is the hypotenuse? Hypotenuse is under root of a square plus b square is equal to c square, or hypotenuse square. So hypotenuse square is, hypotenuse is under root of a square plus b square. So it's 3 square plus 4 squares under root, that is 5 kilometers. And that is the distance from his house at present. So this was a question on direction. A easy but a bit confusing question for a couple of students. Now finally, in this question what we would be doing is, we would be seeing into the answers and trying to find out which answer won't be possible. So what we do is, there are 3 options, 7, 8 and 10. 3 different denomination of stamps available. So if I try to find combination of these 7, 8 and 10, what can be the possible answers? How can I reach to 29? I can say 7 plus 7 plus 7, 7 plus 7 14, 14 plus 7 21, 21 plus 8 is 29. So 29 is a possible answer. Then for 23, I can say 8 plus 8 is 16, 16 plus 7 is 23. So this is again a possible answer. For 20, I can say it's 10 plus 10 is 20. So all 3 are possible. 19 cannot be possible. So if I add 7 plus 7 plus 7, it gives me 21. If I add 7 plus 8, that would give me 15. If I add 8 plus 10, that would give me 18. So in none of the cases I can reach the answer 19. I am reaching all the nearby values but not 19. So which I cannot buy the stamps for the denomination of rupees 19. So this was about the paper 1. So with this we complete all the 60 questions which were asked in UGC paper 1 for June 2014. I hope these sessions were helpful, and this would give you a pattern of what type of questions come and how can we solve these kind of questions. So stay tuned with us for more information on UGC examination. In the next session, we would be discussing the analysis of June 2014 paper, where we will try to understand how it was similar to December 2013 paper, what was the major differences that were there with the June and December paper this year, which topics we can find out are important, and which topics you need to study more. So keep tuned with us for the next coming lesson on analysis of June 2014 paper. Have a good day ahead.